Hello everyone, this is Garrett and this is Serious Sam 2. We're about to do level 42, the final level of the game, Mental Institution.
No! Wait! I can explain!
Next 5 digits.
And while the cutscene seems to imply that things didn't go so good, we ended up in the right place anyway.
The big building in front of us is Mental Institution. Go there and get rid of Mental, once and for all.
Finally! I can't wait.
And we are indeed going to do exactly that. This is a level where ammo conservation is pretty important, so I'm not going to be picking up things that I probably won't need. Though I am actually going to go back for that ammo backpack. Because you never know. Plus, I'm pretty sure the wall is going to close behind me and I won't be able to pick that up anymore anyway. But you want to be pretty careful with what you do with your things here and there. And indeed, there it goes. Graphically, this level does not look very impressive. But this level is just so huge that it's just kind of interesting how it manages to put walls around you at all times. And it doesn't make use of invisible walls, which is always like a plus for me. So you're just gonna have to make do. We are gonna start fighting. We're gonna shoot at everything that moves, and there is a lot of stuff coming towards us already. And that is a pretty common theme in this level. The amount of enemies that you'll be fighting at the same time can be very overwhelming here, and you want to just make sure you use the right weapons pretty much the entire time. There's also a single secret area in this level which can just about change the way you do this level entirely. It is just that ridiculous of a secret area, honestly. But we're not going to focus on that right now. Right now we are going to focus on, 1, the awesome music, and 2, getting that serious damage power up as quickly as possible. Because it makes killing everything here a little bit easier. And with a little bit, I mean a lot. Plus there's a lot of these vehicles, like the flying hover fighter things, which fly around trying to kill you. And they will just circle around you until you kill them. Usually they'll just end up flying into each other. But it's nice to take care of them by yourself. We have the serious damage power up to take care of them anyway, so we might as well use it. Plus, every now and then when you kill them, it launches a health power up or something like that inside the level. I'm honestly not entirely sure how that mechanic works, because sometimes it launches health power ups or other power ups, other times it doesn't, and I'm not really sure why. I never really figured out how that mechanic works in this level, but either way, sometimes good things happen, and we are just going to keep on destroying everything and hope that we are indeed going to get the power-ups that I so desire. And I am actually just going to focus on the stuff on the ground. As you can see, one of those flying guys just flew into one of those little helicopter dudes, I think, which is why it suddenly exploded. And given that these guys don't have much health, that's just a really good way of taking care of them. Eventually they'll just fly into each other and die, but it's always a bit scary when those guys are constantly flying around you while you're also trying to take care of everything else that's going on. It's just very overwhelming. Plus then there's guys like that are just hiding behind you the entire time. Just big jerks everywhere. And you have to take care of all of them. I'm actually going to use a sniper rifle on this last guy. 1 single shot of the sniper rifle plus a little bit of damage from the minigun is just about enough to take care of everything in this level, but it works against those guys too, and it's pretty great. So that was the first battle out of like 400, and I've said several times in this game that I don't like using serious bombs. This is actually the only level where I'm going to make an exception to that rule because of the way I'm going to be doing the level, which is something which will make more sense later. Anyway, cannon, always good. And this cannon is wonderful. And now that the enemies are spawning, we are going back again. Because we are going to be fighting a lot of stuff, and we don't want to be nearby any of this stuff, as you will soon see when the bigger dudes start to come up and try to destroy us. Which they're usually pretty darn good at. Although I have to say, thought I was actually close enough to spawn the really big dudes. Apparently I was only close enough to spawn the helicopters. But you'll soon see the scariness falling out of the sky. There we go. That seems like a trigger of some description that is going to spawn nastiness. Didn't actually know that the helicopter was separate to the other stuff, but there you go. We learned something today. And there's a bunch of clear skeletons. That's not the scary stuff. The scary stuff is that guy. and his friend who will soon make an appearance as well, who looks exactly the same. And yeah, not friends of any sort of description, and a good enough reason to run as far back as possible. Another instance of those hover fighters launching power-ups downwards, and wow, okay, that's actually pretty incredible. That one has a serious damage power-up. A lot of the time, that thing crashes into that building, or whatever this is, arch, I guess, and the damage power-up will just be stuck up there. You won't be able to get it at all. For some reason it worked this time, and I don't know how it works. And like that one launched the health power-up, which is always good, of course, but like that damage power-up is just random. It sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. I'm happy that I got it because it does make life a lot easier. As you can see, killing those guys is a lot easier if you don't have to switch between your weapons while simultaneously also taking care of the clear skeletons. Now we can just take care of everything with the minigun. And it is great. Usually there's also a bunch of clear skeletons that actually get stuck as well. Like there's probably a couple to the left of me right now, which are just sort of stuck in the area, like in this little nook over there. And I don't really know why that happens. It just does. Also, one thing I'm not sure if I actually mentioned about the cannon in this game. In the previous games, if you basically shot the cannonballs as quickly as possible by just charging them, they would do a lot more damage. In this game, they sort of deal more damage. It's often not that bad of an idea to just not charge it at all if you're close enough. And that one just missed entirely. Also, the hitboxes of enemies in this game are actually pretty impressive because it's very easy to just miss with the cannon if you just shoot in between their legs, which is really annoying actually, but it's a thing that can happen, and it's a real problem, to be honest. But whatever. We're just gonna keep shooting them and sort of ignore that the cannon, I don't think, is as good as in the previous games, but simultaneously it does give you an incentive to shoot a lot quicker with it, and that can actually be good as well. So there's good sides and bad sides to the whole thing. But we survived, and we are full health, and presumably there's still a couple of enemies to the left over here. Probably just gonna grab my grenade launcher because it takes care of them quite well. Yep, there's only one, but it was stopping the checkpoint from continuing. That is like a really common place for enemies to just get stuck, and I don't know why. Anyway, 3 bulls. They're dead now. We can move on. They're always just there, the 3 of them, and they're not that big of a threat, but they can. If you're not ready for them and you're standing against that wall, I guess it could be scary, but you'd also be standing against a bunch of rocket launcher dudes in the previous battle, so it's very unlikely you're going to get hit by those. So we're just going to move on, grab the armor, and again, try to focus on power-ups that we actually want to pick up and just sort of avoid everything else, just in case we need to go back for it. It never hurts to just keep stuff in the background in case you want to pick it up later. And these guys, you can just use about any weapon you want and a grenade, and it'll be good enough. I'm just going to go with the rocket launcher because it's a fun weapon to use in this particular instance. We don't really use it enough because it's not very good compared to the minigun. The minigun and the plasma rifle are just so good that it's very rarely even required to switch to anything else. But for this area, I like to use my other weapons because I just like to conserve my ammo for the difficult parts and make sure I have a minigun ready for those areas. Plus, you know, we get to blow stuff up, which is always a good enough reason to use a rocket launcher if you ask me. It's just usually it's not a good idea. But like I said, this is one of the few levels where ammo conservation is actually really important, especially if you miss the secret area of this level. If you do get the secret area, it'll make more sense when I get there. It's going to be after this battle, just arena, I suppose. After this arena with enemies, we should be getting to the secret area, which will explain a lot about the things I've been saying so far. And we are actually getting a little bit overwhelmed here, so I'm going to switch to the plasma rifle and the minigun every now and then to take care of all the scary, spooky stuff. But I think we should be okay. As long as we just keep our health up, it's fine. Of course, there are a couple of instances where we're going to be fighting those red rocket launcher dudes, which are immediately coming around the corner the moment I talk about them. And if they hit us, we lose like 100 health, and obviously that's bad. So switch to the cannon every now and then to take care of them very quickly, while simultaneously also killing all of the nasty, scary, spooky stuff with the skeletal arms and whatnot. Obviously, you don't need to use a cannon to kill these guys because they are weak against anything. They just have a lot of health, and the cannon is very, very good at taking care of them. Arguably, you could use the minigun as well because you'd be able to shoot their missiles out of the air, but like I said in the previous video, shooting missiles out of the air in this game is hard. I don't understand why, but it just feels a lot harder than it is in all the other Serious Sam games, and I don't understand why. I guess they just have a smaller hitbox or something, but something's going on there that's making it very difficult to actually do that. And I don't understand why. Fortunately, those red dudes are also good at shooting at our own enemies because they usually don't really aim beyond just my direction. And if there's an enemy in between us, then, well, that's just that enemy just has to go, I suppose. And it means we have to shoot one less sniper rifle bullet at those arachnoids. That's always nice, of course. I'm actually really terrified of this area because it's very easy that something will just go wrong with these guys. And you just lose all of your health and die. And given that this is a really long level, I'd rather just have it not happen. I will actually probably quick save throughout this level just in case I do die. And there's a couple areas I have in mind where I want to make a quick save. Just so I can video edit my way back there again if something goes wrong. Because there are just... like I said, this is just a really big level. And the downside of really big levels and recording videos is that if you die, you have to spend a lot of time doing it all over again, and it's just really tedious. But even when you're just playing it normally, long levels are scary, man. Long levels mean a large amount of enemies, a different strategy usually, because a lot of the time if you're in a short level, there's also the fact that you usually get back a bunch of ammo if you're just completely out of it the moment you beat a level and you get to the start of a new level. In this level, obviously that's not the case because you're just in the same level for about 40 to 50 minutes. And it becomes very easy to run into ammo problems and stuff like that. So you actually have to do a lot more thinking, which I think probably makes this level pretty interesting in that regard. Again, as long as you don't get the secret area, because the secret area is ridiculous. But yeah, there's a lot more thinking to do in this level, and that's really the main reason why I think this is probably one of the more interesting levels. Why I think this level sort of resembles other Serious Sam games more. Just because the levels in this game are really short. Like, almost every level is shorter than any other level in the Serious Sam game. And it just leads to never really running into ammo problems for any gun ever. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the puzzle of the level is gone, in a way. Like, what I find interesting about Serious Sam games is that every battle that you fight, it sort of is a puzzle. You're just trying to figure out how to use your ammo, how to use the weapons you have available correctly to survive in the end. And I think the previous Serious Sam games just did that a lot better. I especially think the Second Encounter did that better, and this game tries to do some of the things the Second Encounter did. And the Second Encounter is just my favorite game in the series, which I guess also gives this somewhat of a bias, but I think it does it better just because you lose your weapons more often in the Second Encounter than you do in the First Encounter. In the First Encounter, there is one level where you lose most of your ammo and you only have your shotgun available for a little bit of time. And in the Second Encounter, they changed that by just making use of chapters, I suppose, where you lose all of your weapons again. And because you have some experience with the enemies you found up to that point, you kind of have an idea how to take care of them even with limited weaponry. But it's still pretty tricky because you're just used to fighting them with like a rocket launcher or something like that. So you do actually have to think again about how to actually fight those enemies. And in this game, it sort of tries to do that. It definitely has a chapter approach. But the thing is, it usually just gives you a lot of weapons immediately, which are just so good that there's just no thinking involved, or they just give you a vehicle and that's just that. The moment you get a vehicle, you are in God mode pretty much. So that's, I guess, one of the reasons why the level designs of this game, I just don't find them very interesting a lot of the time. Whereas in the previous Serious Sam games, I think they just managed to hit it a little bit better. And I think in like Serious Sam 3, they actually managed to do that a little bit better as well. But for different reasons. But I'll get to that one when I actually play that game again. And actually record it properly, because it has been a while since I actually played it at all. And I think there's also just a couple things I don't remember correctly anymore. I should really kill this vehicle right there. It's really starting to piss me off. But yeah, in this area, you just sort of fight stuff. As you can see, there's really not much going on. There's like 3 little garage-type areas on all the way to the right from where all these enemies are coming from. And most of them just die really quickly, and there's really not much to it. So that's why I'm just talking about Serious Sam games in general, I suppose. This seems like a good enough level as any to just talk about it in general, just due to the fact that it's the final level. And it's kind of the last chance to talk about just stuff about the series in general, so... You know, might as well make all my comparisons that I have stuck in my mind up to this point now. And get them all out of my system. For when we play the next game, we won't have to think about this game anymore. And yeah, this game, I don't think this game will ever make my favorite Serious Sam games. It definitely has some interesting levels, but there's also just a lot of levels which are just bad. And originally, when this game came out, it was really harshly criticized that like this style was too cartoony and blah blah blah. But I think that's not really a problem. Like, that's just the visual style. And people were complaining the Serious Sam 2 wasn't serious enough. But let's be honest, Serious Sam's not a very serious game. You're fighting like headless people with bombs in their hands that are just screaming continuously. But whatever. Ignoring that, we're gonna go over here where the secret area is. And you'll soon see why it's ridiculous. There's 3 serious bombs. The moment we get inside this thing, we find the secret weapon depot. I'm gonna make a quick save here. And I'm gonna avoid using this weapon as much as possible after fighting these guys, just because these guys... I think they only spawn actually when you get this vehicle, so I'm just going to use this as an excuse to use this vehicle. But I'm mostly just going to be using this vehicle to move around. Because moving around in this place, as you can probably imagine, it takes a while. And it's pretty tricky to actually move back and forth in this place just because it's just really big. And this thing makes moving a little bit easier. Plus now you get to see the 3 little garages where all the enemies were coming from. But that is that. We are just going to move on. I'll just park the vehicle every now and then, and in between battles I just move it around. I'm actually just going to quick save here one more time. And if I died, you'll see sudden video editing going on. But I'm actually going to grab this armor because my armor is a little bit on the low side right now. And I'm going to move all the way there. And this particular battle is made a lot easier when you realize you can just stand over here. Because there's going to be a lot of these clown enemies spawning. And they don't really do a whole lot. They do drop in from a distance, and they will just drop in pretty much all over this place. But knowing that you're safe here, pretty much makes this part a lot easier. Because if you just stand in the middle, you're probably just gonna die, due to the fact that everything is coming towards you from various different angles, and things can just go horribly wrong. But over here, nothing spawns like next to this wall, so as long as you know how to take care of these guys, you should be pretty okay. These guys are actually pretty decent at dodging today, though. Like, pretty excellent is the job they're doing right now. So yeah, I do actually have to be a little bit careful. But you can probably just use a double-barreled shotgun and just wait for them to come to you, but I am just a little bit too lazy for that. And arguably, this is just a battle you could just do with the vehicle without it becoming much easier or harder, because currently I just have a lot of ammo for just about everything except for the minigun. The minigun ammo is actually pretty bad right now, but I'll just use everything else. Like, these guys are just not very good unless they're in ridiculous numbers. And due to the size of this arena, they're not going to be doing anything to me unless I just make a mistake. And I don't like making mistakes. I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen. I'm kind of hoping to avoid the making of mistakes, because otherwise I will die. This game is like pretty much every Serious Sam game. The moment you start making mistakes, you're just going to die. And this level in particular has some instances where you will just die, and it's just bad. But this area in particular is just pretty easy, due to the fact that right now it's just the only enemy we're fighting. We're only fighting one single enemy type, and unless they're gonna add more, we're just sitting here throwing grenades at people that instantly explode the moment they lose their health, and then you have a chain reaction. And due to the fact that these people are all basically taking roughly the same path, It's very unlikely that they're going to be able to do anything. And yeah, the chain reaction is just really, really strong with these guys. That's just always been a thing with Serious Sam Kamikaze enemies. They usually explode with the there's a couple of enemies which don't in this general series, but the exploding ones, they explode. And when they explode, they hit all the other explodey ones, and you can make everything explode in a wonderful fashion. Which is probably one of my favorite things about the HD remakes of the first and second Serious Sam games. I don't really prefer playing them, but I like the effects. Like they're like you can just make a giant blood splatter on the floor everywhere when you just get a lot of those guys together and just blow them all up at once. And it's just one of those things that's kind of cool. And we killed everything, and it starts us up in this particular instance, which is another nice reason to be on this particular side. You can also just be on the other side, doesn't really matter, as long as you're against a wall. Because if you're in the middle, you will basically be fighting all of these guys at once. And if you're fighting all of these guys at once, that you will get a lot more laser shot in your face than you would like now. Because these guys have a limited range in which they shoot. And if you're just too far away from them, they just don't really do anything. So it does become a lot easier keeping that little fact in mind. And killing those last guys, we open up the next wall, where there are some power-ups waiting for us. You could probably actually just not pick these up right now. There's another Serious Bomb, which I kind of want to keep over here, because I think this entire area will actually open up at some point. But I'm not sure if this area actually opens up. I'm not 100% sure about that. Do I actually want this? Nah, not yet. I'm actually going to keep this here for now. I could probably actually just use one of the Serious Bombs, but right now the cannon should definitely suffice to kill most of these. This is just a pretty generic strategy to kill as much of these guys as possible. The moment you hit a cannonball will usually just keep going and just destroy everything that's behind it. So if you can get them all in a straight line, you can kill a lot of these guys with only 2 cannonballs. And the remainders you can kill with your sniper rifle. And we have no issue taking care of these guys whatsoever. But that brings us to the next set of enemies. And that set of enemies is called Serious Bomb number 1. Because I don't want to deal with this. It's actually a pretty big issue to deal with. And, you know, there's so many Serious Bombs in this game, and I really haven't used any of them. And in this level, there's probably about, like, 10. So it's about time we start actually using them. Plus, I feel like this level is actually designed in some areas with Serious Bombs in mind. Like, just as a serious note. In every previous level, there is no army that you fight that's big enough to warrant a Serious Bomb until this level. This is the level where it's just really, they throw out everything that they could possibly think of. And they definitely put that vehicle, that secret vehicle there, just in case you just can't do it. Because if you use that vehicle to kill everything, you will just mindlessly click for about 20 minutes and you'll just beat the level without any real problem. The only real problem would be the final boss, which is also in this level. This is actually, thinking about it, the only level which has the boss battle in the same level as just a generic level, which is kind of cool. Unless you're playing the version that was released on the original Xbox, where it has no boss battle, the level just ends. That was one of those weird changes between the PC version and that version. I guess it was too big, I don't know, it's just not there. And I'm not really 100% sure why, but it's just not. So, there you go. There probably was a reason given for it at some point, but I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know the exact reasoning behind it all. And there's a lot of stuff over here that I'm gonna pick up to feel a little bit better about myself. Just got back all my minigun ammo, so that was actually not a bad idea to keep that there. Just made another quick save just in case things go wrong, and now I'm making another one because I wasn't sure if it actually registered. And I don't actually remember what happens in this part. I think we should just be fine if we just keep shooting these guys. Okay, the wall's coming towards us. Okay, then I know where we actually are. The thing about this game is that there's a lot of levels where I just don't practice levels very much, due to the fact that even in the final level, there's just a lot of instances where it's just pretty self-explanatory what you're actually supposed to do. And this level does have a couple of areas where it's not immediately obvious if you're not just using the vehicle, I suppose. Which makes this level a little bit more interesting. But there is just a lot of stuff where it's like, I don't even need to write a note about this. I just go. Like, one of the more interesting battles, I suppose, were those 6 red T-Rex Minoids or whatever they're called in this game. They have some different name, which I didn't actually know until the little piece of text showed it in this particular level, but just the rocket shooting dudes, you know the ones I mean. The ones that look like a T-Rex and shoot rockets at people. That was probably one of the more interesting battles that we've seen so far in this particular level. And yeah, Serious Bomb just kills all of them. And without a Serious Bomb, that like some of this stuff is actually just really hard. But the thing is, like, even without the Serious Bombs that you get from the secret area, you still just find a lot of them. There's just a lot of them just lying around. I think we already passed like 3 of them just from normal areas. And now there's just a bunch of bulls which are coming towards us, along with a bunch of clowns. I might actually go in the vehicle here just because it speeds up the process a bit. Because, for like, inexplicably, these clowns have no health, pretty much. Like, it's almost surprising that they don't die from falling damage. But yeah, you can just shoot them out of the air very easily. It's also quite nice that the power-ups are actually getting pushed towards you. You don't have to worry about the wall killing you either, which is nice, because it doesn't actually go and squish you all the way, which probably would have been a better idea when it comes to evil, villainous plans, but hey. Video games are not meant for logic, they're meant to shoot clowns that are flying towards you at low health at high speeds, so just use that as like a system of measurement. I don't know. Either way, we're just gonna sit here and shoot our shotgun for a while. Like I said, you might as well just do this with the vehicle because there's just nothing to this. You're just sort of waiting for all the clowns to be dead. And it does make an interesting fireworks show because they do shoot off a lot of purple smoke and stuff. And that does look pretty cool in the air. It looks a lot cooler in the air than it actually does when they're on the ground. So it is kind of neat that they're dropping at low health. So you do get to see the effect properly. And you get to look at the awesome skybox as well, which is actually just really good looking. Like, one thing this game does really well is music and skyboxes. it just looks really, really good a lot of the time. And the music, I would say this is probably the best Serious Sam soundtrack ever made. Just out of the entire series. And maybe the only exception being the GameCube and PlayStation 2 only game, The Next Encounter, but that's a whole different can of worms right there. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab this, I think. Another quick save because I'm still scared of everything. Don't think actually, yes, I do want that in a second. And we are going to shoot a lot of cannonballs here because there's a lot of clear skeletons, plus one of those big dudes. And I just destroy my vehicle, but whatever. We're getting pretty close to the end, and it doesn't really matter all that much because I wasn't intending on using it anyway as like a weapon. Do I want this now? I guess I do, because otherwise I wouldn't have picked it up. It's kind of a hard question. Because I'm worried I'm going to run out of cannonballs here, actually. But we'll see what happens, I suppose. There are 2 Serious Bombs that spawn here. I'm going to use a lot of them, just as a forward warning. Because this battle does actually get pretty insane. And 2 rockets is enough to kill these turrets. For now, it's only turrets that we have to worry about. In a second, they're going to combine everything. They have a bunch of different turrets spawning on these various platforms. I actually missed a rocket there, which is somewhat impressive considering none of them move. But yeah, this is probably one of the harder battles in this level. Like, from this point on, it's just hard. This entire level is just hard from this point on. And it's very easy to die here. And it's kind of nice that the game gives you a fair amount of health. And also a fair amount of Serious Bombs to take care of some of the issues that we're going to be dealing with. Because right now we're fighting clowns, and as you can see, those clowns were spawning at the same time as some of the turrets behind us. Any second now is going to spawn more turrets on these plateaus again. And that's the problem, because it doesn't actually spawn in the same order either, as you can see. And there's just a bunch of stuff shooting at us. And we somehow have to take care of all this junk at once, and it's not nice. Some of these turrets, I don't think they can actually even reach us a lot of the time. But then again, they do have ridiculous range, so it is very possible that they can reach us, but that the projectile just takes ages to actually reach us at all. and it therefore becomes less of a problem. And some of the turrets, they will actually just be killed by the series bomb as well, due to the fact that they just kill everything around us. So that's good. But it is kind of hard to just move around in this area, because this is actually a problem we haven't really faced before, where there's turrets shooting at us at the same time as other stuff, and the turrets are kind of far away, so you can't just move around very normally, I suppose, because the projectiles take a while. Like, they take long enough to reach you that the moment you run back to avoid a different thing, they might actually end up hitting you anyway, just because they've been flying for so long. It's a real issue, and things are scary, and I'm worried. But there are a lot of healing and armor power-ups available. So even with all this nonsense going on, we should be able to destroy quite a bit of stuff without any real problems. But as you can see, we did lose a reasonable amount of health, actually, from all of this. And the turrets and guys just keep coming as well. It's very treacherous. And on the one hand, it might actually be a good idea to not grab the series bombs immediately. Like, not grab them, because after this, there's going to be another really treacherous battle. One of which I am pretty convinced you actually just need series bombs for. I just don't know how to deal with it without series bombs. Even vehicles are just not strong enough for me to be able to figure out how to actually deal with it otherwise. And that makes it kind of a good idea to not pick up certain power-ups. And it kind of goes for that for other power-ups later as well. Like, there's a lot of planning required for some of these things. And that makes this level so interesting to me. Just because it's hard. It's actually genuinely hard. And a lot of the levels in this game are fairly mindless when it comes to that. And that just makes this very interesting to me. It's just kind of a shame you need to play so many levels which are just not interesting, I guess, to get to the most interesting level of the game. And I think this level would have probably benefited if they focused on making less levels, actually. I think they made a big mistake with making as many levels as they did, because they just didn't. They were capable of making levels. They were definitely capable of making good levels, but I don't think they were capable of making this many levels and have them all be good. Because there are a lot of levels which just look pretty similar to each other. And I don't so much mean as just technical design, I guess. I'm not really sure how I'm trying to explain this, but like, they use a lot of the same assets, I suppose, which makes sense because it's a very thematical game, because you're visiting various different planets and you're going to see a lot of the same things. I'm going to use a series bomb here, by the way. And I'm kind of losing my thought process over here because there's just too much going on. But either way, I feel like if they could have just made less levels, and I feel like the game would have benefited from it. It would have kind of been a shame cutscene-wise, I suppose, because I do think the cutscenes are actually pretty good. But I don't know. I just don't think this game needs the amount of levels it has with this current, like, quality of the levels as well. So there you go. This actually went pretty well, just in hindsight. This could have gone a lot worse, and I'm kind of surprised how well this actually went in the long run. But there you go, we still have a series bomb left, and I'm just actually going to leave this here because I think we can actually pick this up later. Gonna make another quick save because things are scaring me at all times. And we get to the next treacherous area, while I just continue to rant about this game forever. Another series bomb here, and I'm again going to leave this here because it's important to me. This armor power up pretty useful, and our cannonballs are actually pretty good. I have gotten here with 0 cannonballs just about, and that's bad. That's actually just horrible. Having cannonballs in this particular battle is fantastic because it makes it so much easier due to the things we're actually going to be fighting here. And I'm just sort of mindlessly spinning around because I'm trying to find these guys. We're going to fight a lot of these spiders, a lot of them, and I hope you can aim with this gun because otherwise this is actually going to be a problem. 4 cannonballs is enough to take care of one of those big spiders. I think it's probably better to shoot 3 and then switch to a different weapon. But due to the fact that we actually have a lot of cannonballs available right now, I'm probably actually not even going to do that. All I'm worried about is that I'm going to miss these guys because, again, their hitboxes are actually kind of hard to hit with the weapons we have. Like with the cannon especially, it's pretty hard to hit them, but you're kind of forced to use the cannon due to the fact that there's quite a lot of them. And you're also taking care of other enemies at the same time, and they are a real problem when you're fighting other enemies simultaneously, which is why I'm spinning around constantly as well, because it just it's scaring me. These guys just have really strong projectiles, and fighting these guys simultaneously as something else is just horrifying. And you can kind of just tell from the tone of my voice, I suppose, how I feel about this level, because I feel there's a couple levels in this game where I'm just phoning in commentarying entirely. I'm just not excited to be where I am at the time because there's just nothing going on for me. But this level is just, there's just so much stuff going on, so much ammo management just throughout the entire level where you have to plan ahead if you're not using that secret vehicle. It's just exciting to me. It's just really fun for me to try and figure out what I'm going to use where. And just not picking up all power-ups immediately because there's actually a reason to do so. Trying to shoot enemies with, like, several enemies with the same projectile by lining them up in really bizarre methods, but that works somehow. It's good. This is why I play Serious Sam games. This level is a good example of why I just really enjoy Serious Sam games, because they have a lot of potential, because there is just something to the way that this game delivers enemies to you that other games just don't, and that just it looks really mindless, but there's actually just a lot of planning involved to get it to work. And I feel that even though I'm gonna get back to a previous point on this, like, while a lot of people claimed that they didn't like this game because of the style, and that's just a really obvious reason to dislike it, because, you know, it just looks very different from every other Serious Sam game in the series. And while people claim that is the reason they disliked it, I think the reason they disliked it is just because there's just too much nonsense that just isn't interesting in this game. That was not in the previous game. Like, the previous game just had more interesting levels, and it just led to a more interesting experience in the long run. This game is definitely a lot longer, but it just doesn't benefit from its length, because there's just a lot of levels like Floterra, for instance, which looks really good, but that's it. There's just no substance. Like, they have a level with a bunch of floating platforms where it looks like it's very easy to fall off, and they removed the mechanic where you actually fall off. They removed the main thing, which I feel could have made the level interesting, which is that you can actually lure enemies off the stage and accidentally fall off yourself and stuff like that. They removed that, and then there's just a bunch of battles which are just where you're just waiting for a platform to move and nothing happens. But whatever. We're making it through this. I'm quick saving every now and then because I'm still basically terrified, and we are actually getting pretty close to the end of this all. We're actually back on 30 cannonballs, which I didn't know about. And everything goes down. And I'm standing in between these two power-ups specifically, and I'm switching to a serious bomb, because the vehicle's gonna spawn. This one's not secret, and I'm gonna use that as an excuse to use it properly. That's a serious damage power-up. I heartily recommend not picking it up, because it makes the final boss so much easier if you do not pick it up. We're gonna be fighting a lot of spiders here. Right now it just seems like 4 of them, but there's another whole army of them coming towards us, and this is where I'm gonna be using most of my serious bombs, because it just becomes a complete and utter nightmare to do this area without serious bombs. I managed to kill one group of those spiders, I think, just using the vehicle ones and a serious damage power-up. And you just die, because there's several of these groups. It's just a real issue, and I don't know how else to deal with this other than to just leave serious bombs behind and to just kill them like this. I don't know how else to do it, because there's just too many spiders for you to dodge due to the fact that their, like, shooting patterns are not in sync with each other, and you're just gonna get destroyed. And this is just the only way I know how to do it, but it works very well. And that's also why we left some of the serious bombs previously. Like, this is the one that was in between, like, the 2 archways, I think, where we were fighting a bunch of enemies previously. And I might actually grab a serious damage power-up soon, because we are running out of vehicle health, and it worries me a bit. Though, again, if I don't need to pick it up, I'm not going to. It's just that the final boss becomes a lot easier if you don't need serious damage here. And I think we should be okay. I think we should be fine. There we go. Quick save.
It's amazing what you've just done. This is your game.
This is your game. Right now there's 2 serious damage power-ups available, and this vehicle is going to explode any second now. Quick save! There we go, and another vehicle is going to take its place, which we cannot actually leave. And now we're going to be fighting the Pyramid. And I'm going to grab the serious damage power just because we'll be dealing so much more damage. Right now, there's a lot of planes flying out of the mental institution. And these things just fly towards you and explode. And this is where the difficulty of this battle lies, because these things just deal so much damage when they explode. They do a lot of splash damage, and it is very possible to destroy them all without taking any damage, but it's really difficult. And this boss battle has several different attacks that it's going to be using, some of which you're probably not going to see due to the fact that we saved the serious damages until now. And that's kind of nice for me, because it's just better this way. Because there's a couple of attacks that it's going to be using which I just don't really have a good way of dealing with. And they're the ones that come after this one. Like, right now he's just only using this, so it's not really a problem. Another quick save, because I'm still terrified of everything that's going on. But there is this that he can do. He can shoot cannonballs for a while, which is not really that much of an issue. He can also shoot a bunch of bombers, which just deal so much damage that it's just really hard to take care of them without just constantly shooting at them all the time. And from this point on, he's just going to be using this, which is just not a problem at all, and we can very easily destroy it. I'll talk more about what other attacks he can actually do, but I'm just going to destroy him now, and we don't have to deal with any of that. And that was that for now.
No. Haha. Yes. Always does the trick.
So first of all, that cutscene's just a bit weird in general because you can see trees behind that area. Not really sure what's up with that, but sure. I guess there's just trees inside that pyramid. But secondly, that battle, aside from the attacks that you've seen, there's one where those red balls are just cannonballs, like I said, which is considerably more dangerous. And that will be coming up after a bunch of bombers which will be flying towards you, which you basically deal with the same way as the just planes that are flying into you, except that they just throw bombs rather than fly into you, and they actually have more health as well, which is a real problem because it's actually pretty difficult to destroy all of them before they have a chance to just drop a bunch of explosives on you. And every now and then it's actually going to spawn a bunch of power-ups to heal your vehicle as well. Like, it's just impossible to get out of that vehicle the moment you're in it, so you do actually need to heal it. Because when that vehicle explodes, you just instantly die. And aside from those planes, like that throw bombs and the cannonballs, it also has one more attack where it just throws a bunch of those, like the hover fighter things, I guess, which just shoot blue lasers and it just does nothing. So from, like, when you reach that phase, you can basically just keep shooting the mental institution's core and it'll just die. But definitely the best way of fighting him is to just leave a bunch of serious damage power-ups available. And it just takes care of a lot of the stress of that battle. Or, the best way to fighting it is just play the Xbox version so you don't have to fight it at all. But, that is that. We are going to watch the ending and finish this game.
Yeah, well, I am here now. We'll settle this once and for all. Yeah? What? Whatever. have to have a serious talk with Crow Team one of these days.
Oh, you're kidding me, right? Oh, this can't be the end.
Well, no, of course it's not, man. I want to fight. Yeah, me too. This is funny.
It's not funny at all. Hey, they aren't serious, are they?
Oh no, they're just messing with our minds, man.
Hey, maybe it really is like the end.
Or it's one of Crow Team's bad jokes again.
Hey guys, who is this Mental anyway?
I don't know. Nobody ever saw them.
Does he even exist, huh?
Oh, yeah, I wonder how big he is.
Oh yeah, like, I would bet he's even bigger than like Urgzan. Yeah, he's probably bigger than Planet Sirius. Oh, we will never know.
I want to fight. This is really funny.
No, it is not. Guys, listen. How many rockets would it take to kill Mental?
Whoa. Well, I guess more than 100.
Oh, with 100 rockets, you couldn't even kill bosses in other games. Look, this is a stupid conversation, because he ain't gonna appear.
Oh, yeah, this is the greatest boss in gaming history, man. Hey, mate, do you work for Crotium?
Listen, guys, I've got to go to toilet. Hope he doesn't appear while I'm gone. Like, man, he ain't gonna appear at all, okay? You understand that?
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Oh, like, no way, man. Look, you see, this is the E-N-D, and... Okay, I'm back. I would leave it a little while. So, did he appear? Oh, like, how does it look to you, huh? Did he appear? What do you think, huh? You know, while I was in toilet, something popped up. Maybe we've got to beat game on serious difficulty.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it. Ah, damn, I could never do that.
Oh, man, it's not fair. This sucks.
I'm sorry, gentlemen, I have beaten the game on serious, but Mental didn't appear anyway.
Oh, look, I've never seen a more stupid ending to a game.
All right, well, maybe they're preparing a sequel, man.
Maybe it's like not the end. Yeah, hey, now the real fighting begins. Oh, yeah. Way to go, man.
Great. Let's kick some ass, man.
Oh, no.
Probably one of the more bizarre endings of a series Sam gave, but there you go. Everything was pointless. The medallion already existed all over the place. And Mental was a chair because he was not actually there. And we got nowhere with anything. And it's a pretty good conclusion of this game. Yeah, story-wise, this game is just ridiculous. It takes place anywhere. It doesn't really make... Like, it just sort of starts somewhere after the previous Serious Sam games and ends somewhere after now, I guess. I don't know. But whatever. It was interesting to record. I really like this last level because it just has the most interesting battles of the game, I suppose. It gives you a reason to use series bombs. That's not just because I couldn't be bothered. Also, if you wait here for a while, it actually shows this cutscene, I suppose. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me play this game. I'll probably play Serious Sam 3 next, I suppose. But yeah, it was interesting to record. It took longer than I expected because I forgot this game had 42 levels initially. But, you know, while there was a lot of nonsense which just wasn't very good, there were a couple good levels in there. And I hope you enjoyed watching those levels. And I guess in the hindsight, they probably should have used those shotgun zombies more than they actually did, but oh well. I don't really have anything else to say about the game, so I hope you enjoyed it, and next time we will be playing something else, and I hope to see you guys there. Bye-bye.